support me. It is something I do not take lightly, and I don't take lightly your service either. While I wasn't in the military, at 6 days of age, I was taken to Kelly Air Force Base, where I began my life. My dad was in the Air Force and stationed in San Antonio. Most of you probably won't remember that base at all because it's gone, but that's where I began my life. Many members of my family have served. My dad was in the Air Force for 5 or 6 years. My father-in-law was a career enlisted man in the Air Force and served for 20 years. My brother-in-law went to the Air Force Academy and flew the, hopefully I get it right, the KC-135 refueling plane. And I currently have a nephew who flies the P-3 for the Navy, and then I have 2 nephews who just enlisted, will be enlisted men in the Navy. I think their dad served in the Navy. We have a bunch of people, so I'm very aware of both the obligations, the requirements, all the things that you go through to serve, but also what it takes when you come home as far as the health requirements of people when they come home. One of the things that my wife and I chose to do when I was elected is we chose to participate in something as a way of giving back, beyond sort of just serving, is a group called helpingaHero.org. It's like Wounded Warriors, but they build houses for severely wounded veterans. We got to know a young man in our neighboring town. We came together with basically our neighbors, and I think, people have forgotten what community spirit's like. Our whole community came together and raised a couple $100,000 to build this gentleman a house. He lost both legs and an arm in Afghanistan. And but it was an amazing outpouring of just a community. People came to this fundraiser. It's not often you see people at a fundraiser who say, "Thanks for asking me to give." That's how this was. And it really was a community coming together to support this young man. And when I asked this young man, what were you fighting for? He says the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And I kind of consider it, those of us who aren't fighting in the war, it's our job, one, to think long and hard about when war is appropriate, when we need to go to war and when we don't. If we vote on it like the Constitution says, so it's not easy to go to war. In the times when we've been attacked, it's amazing. People talk about gridlock in Washington. When we were attacked on 9/11, it was virtually unanimous. And I would have voted to go into Afghanistan. But when we went to the Iraq War, it wasn't quite so unanimous, but there at least was a vote. The thing is what happens is we get involved in a lot of things with no vote at all. We got involved with the Libyan war with no vote at all. And we have to ask the question, are we better off because the Libyan war or worse off? Frankly, I think toppling Gaddafi, it's chaotic. ISIS has a stronger hold there. It's a failed state. It may not have been the best thing. I'll bet you if we'd have voted, we might not have ever gotten involved with the Libyan war. But it is important that we vote. After World War II, when we were attacked, it was unanimous that we respond after Pearl Harbor. So I think it's very easy for us to come together, Republican, Democrat, and Independent, when we are attacked and when we're threatened to be attacked. But I think it's important that we obey the Constitution in the process. And when I think of this young man that we helped to build a house for, when I think of the sacrifice that he made, I think wouldn't it be disappointing if while he was gone, while he was giving up so much, if we gave up on the Bill of Rights while he was gone? And so I think it is our duty to defend the Constitution, to think long and hard about who we're sending to war and why we're sending people to war. And I tell people, look, the way I look at it is if I'm sending one of my kids to war or my nephews who are in the Navy, if I'm sending one of them to war, I see it as a very personal sort of thing, not something that is a chessboard. If we want to occupy this position on the chessboard because there's some oil there, or we think it's a good place to occupy, we should discuss what's in American interest and have a full-throated debate over it. As far as the obligation we have to, when we send you to war, we have the obligation to send you with the best armaments and tools. We have the obligation not to send you with one arm behind your back. I've been asking what kind of genius sends 50 people to war. The president's sending 50 people to war in Syria. What kind of genius sends 50 people to war? We trained a bunch of these Syrian moderates. It cost $250 million to train 60 of them. $4 million per fighter. We sent 4 of them to war. 4 people. Who sends 4 people to war? We sent 4 of them. They were captured in 10 minutes, and all of their arms were captured in 10 minutes. Now we're sending 50 American soldiers into war in Syria. I think it's a huge mistake. We're going to go to war. Let's vote on it in Congress. We go in with overwhelming force. We don't go in with underwhelming force. But we need to think long and hard about going back over to Iraq. And I'm not one who says that we should go back into Iraq. I don't think that there is a clear-cut victory over there. They've been fighting for 1,000 years. Now, my experience with the VA is from outside the military, but I worked in 3 different VAs. I worked in the Durham VA, I worked in the Fayetteville VA, and I worked in the Asheville VA during my training. And my experience was similar. I felt like the quality was pretty good, particularly in the university system. You're there with a younger doctor, but there's always a doctor that's been there 10 or 15 years, and the quality was pretty good. But the distribution of the healthcare was always crummy, meaning that the way we ration care when there's one government provider or something, when it's not distributed very well, it's through waiting time. So we have a problem now that's inexcusable and people should be fired for the waiting list. But we always kind of had some waiting problems in the VA. And I'll tell you one quick story and then we'll get to questions. When I was a medical student, you didn't have to spend the night in the hospital, you got to go home. And you got to go home after you completed the workup of one veteran. So I would sit around about 10 o'clock at night. The veteran would get up there, and so the first question I'd ask him is, when did you check in? He's like, I've been here since 10 o'clock this morning. And it's like, really? So it was all day waiting to get checked in, and so I always tried to maximize the use of my time. So I discovered I could go down to the waiting room and meet them at 10 in the morning, introduce myself, draw their blood, get their EKG, get their x-ray before they were checked in, research their disease, have their orders written, and have it all done before they got checked in. But you had to almost game the system because the system just didn't work very well. The VA system, probably what I would do if you gave me carte blanche and just said, you're in charge, here's what you would do, I wouldn't dismantle it, but I probably wouldn't add new hospitals, to tell you the truth. I would say if you're too far from a hospital, I'd give you a voucher, and that's what we're trying to do now, to go to a local hospital. I would have veterans hospitals that specialize in veterans injuries or war injuries, burns, amputations, closed head injury, post-traumatic stress, and I'll try to have the best in the world on those. And if you need that specialized care, you can go to a VA. But if you're 50 years old and the military is obligated to take care of your health care, and you need a colonoscopy, I'd probably let you go to the local doctor, just because I think it would be easier and less expensive. And I'll finish with one example of why we don't want to just maybe keep building VAs. The government's terrible at this stuff. The government is so bad at distributing anything. They're building a VA in Aurora, Colorado. Has anybody heard about it? Yep. $1.8 billion for a 180-bed hospital. $10 million per room. I would think they have to have gold-plated faucets or something in there. But my guess is you'll have a $1.8 billion palace. Some contractor made a fortune off of it, and you'll go there and you'll still be waiting in line for a week or 2 weeks to get in. And some of the stuff is inexcusable. Those who are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder that were concerned about their own well-being shouldn't be waiting in line, should be treated immediately. And that's a real mistake with what's going on now. But we have to fix the system, I think, by having a hybrid of continuing some VA hospitals, but really giving people access to care outside the hospital. And with that, I do want to tell you that it is with heartfelt thanks that I thank all of you who have chosen to support me. It means a lot to me. Thank you very much.